Hey guys, Mike here. So today's cult classic review is 1999's Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai, starring Forrest Whitaker as Ghost Dog. In Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai, an African-American mafia hitman who models himself after the samurai of old finds himself at odds with the mafia as they put a hit out on him. And so we have Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai. So guys, this is a movie in this series that before watching and reviewing it today, I had not seen it before, nor had I ever heard of this one. But I gotta say, it's a very interesting name for a movie. So, what do I think of Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai? I gotta say, this movie was really building up to something interesting. You have a brilliant actor playing a somewhat interesting character, and you put him in a setting which is somewhat unusual, and hopefully you think that it's going to build up to something that would end amazingly, with loads of twists and turns and betrayals and interesting looks into characters. But unfortunately, you really don't get any of that with this. For starters, you never really find out why he wants to model himself after the samurai. I mean, you find out the reason why he takes up the samurai code and wants to live by that and become more honorable and a bit more effective killer. But you never really find out why he picks the samurai. Later on, you see him reading loads of samurai text and everything like that. But you never really find out why he picks them. I guess it's kind of implied, but if you're going to introduce us to this somewhat unique, interesting character, at least go a bit more into his character. Because I'd say the reason he picks the samurai code and starts living his life by it was fairly interesting, and there was a lot you could build on that. But you don't really find out enough about him before he makes this life-altering change. So you don't really know why it was significant for him to pick the samurai. But still, we go into the actual story now, and we see that he is a somewhat effective hitman for the mafia, and he has this air of mystery to him that even the people that he works for barely know who he is. One of the most unique things about his character is that he's a very talented assassin or hitman, but the only problem is that everyone who he kills are just of no threat to him, because they're all a bunch of fat old Italian men, and that even when they get the drop on him, they can do nothing to him. And he just waltzes into their places and just starts shooting them up with absolutely no difficulty. So there's no kind of struggle, there's no kind of tension when he gets into these supposedly dangerous situations. And because of this, the action comes off really stale and uninteresting. And throughout the movie as well, they put up these random quotes from the samurai book that he's reading, or from the samurai code or whatever, which vaguely relate to the actual scene that he's in. But honestly, these quotes were coming on the screen so often that these became quite empty and a bit pretentious, really. A lot of the times it was just stuff like, words are what you look inside to find the words that you've been meaning to say, and within that, you find the words. Just a bit generic enough to relate to any kind of situation put in front of it, but not exactly anything that's all that interesting either. I appreciate the poetry behind a lot of these quotes, but put into this particular situation, it just really means nothing. And the other problem I had was with Ghost Dog's friend. He doesn't really have a lot of friends doing what he does, and he only really has the one friend, the French guy who works in the ice cream van. Now, he doesn't speak a word of English, and Ghost Dog doesn't speak French and doesn't understand French, but he still says that he's his best friend. And for me, there was no subtitles, so every time he was speaking, I didn't understand him either. And when I was first experiencing this, I thought it was just this kind of bond that they had, where they just kind of, even though they didn't know what they were saying, they fully understood what they were saying. But later on, I turned on the subtitles, and they were saying things that were so specific that you would have to actually understand what they were saying in order for you to respond in a specific way. So clearly, they know what they're saying, so why even have this thing where you say that I don't understand what he's saying if you're just going to kind of discount it later? Pretty much the main focus of Ghost Dog: Way of the Samurai is the fact that the mob is after him. But for pretty much the entirety of the movie, Ghost Dog and the mob pretty much have no interactions with one another, and you don't really feel that they're hot on his tail or they're actually close to getting him. So any kind of tension that this movie wants to try and create, it just doesn't achieve it. And then, like I said, when the two forces actually come together, one poses absolutely no threat to the other, and thus no entertainment can be had. So guys, would I consider Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai a personal cult classic, and would I recommend that you guys should see it? Honestly, I was really bored with this film. It sets up so many interesting things, and it just does nothing with them. The most notable thing about Ghost Dog's character is that he's played by Forrest Whitaker. Beyond that, nothing else that he really does has any kind of impact on you. The story's uninteresting, the acting's average at best, and ultimately it all just amounts to nothing in my eyes. So because of these reasons, I would not consider this movie a personal cult classic. But should you guys watch this one? Again, I can't possibly recommend that you guys should see this one. There are so many better movies that do this kind of premise much better than Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai, and you should definitely check out them before you check out this. Okay guys, that's my cult classic review of Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever you think, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Michael. See ya!